For the exhibition, I decided to focus on presenting something that works on and off paper, allowing me to expand ideas with the processes behind the work I have created. I have made 3 pieces. 2 of them present the motions from cleaning my brush when making the third piece, which shows characters that I have presented in previous pieces of work. I used these imaginative figures within this process as I was curious to see how they would look with the use of different mediums due to previously only ever showing them with felt tip pens. I feel this came into consideration after looking into artists such as Cause and Keith Haring, who both present forms of characters with their works, and I liked how it allowed their viewer to see these figures as more of a signature. I focused on the process of work before by wiping acrylics onto a hoodie whilst doing an abstract painting. During tutorials I was recommended to research Keith Haring, and I feel my work has many comparisons with his. We both use bold outlines and allow our work to be simplistic, which then evolved to being fairly detailed due to the amount that goes on with some of the creations. I also feel that his interest in street culture and streetwear allow me to see a similar direction by using more than just a piece of paper to create art. I feel that Cause is also a good example for this, as he would take posters and make something that's usually seen as commercial work or advertisement and change it into fine art. As I have been interested in printing graphics and clothes, I feel these 2 artists inspire me even more due to their collaborations with big streetwear brands. I feel that it allows their collaborations to change fashion into collectible art pieces, interactive art that people can show in more than just one place. I have used clothes to create artwork in the past, and with the recent process work I feel I can expand on that by using it for design purposes, possibly taking the shapes from the paintings and rearranging them across a t-shirt, showing influences for camouflage designs from brands such as Bape. A large drawing that I had done before looking into these artists allowed me to think about the size of the paper or canvas that I was using. I liked the idea of producing a drawing that seems stretched, as it allows the viewer to follow from one end to the other if they wanted to. This gives the work a journey that I feel makes it interactive. This has come into relations and influence for my 2 process pieces, as I feel someone can still look from one end to the other. As there is no clear path through the work, it allows the viewer to make it their own choice, which allows each person to experience the piece in a unique way. I have also considered rotating work from its original form by changing a work from landscape to portrait, or doing the opposite, which allows the outcomes to change. Matthew Ritchie's work has made me think about presenting work on more than just a new material, but now has made me think about possibly cutting out shapes and making the actual exhibition space my canvas. This could be achieved by sticking the shapes onto the walls separately or having the shapes piled up on the floor in no particular order. This would be something I would enjoy experimenting with, as I have been interested in the Dadaist art movement, and I feel I could show aspects of that with my presentation. Referring to the projection project, I feel the work I did for that linked to my 2 process exhibition pieces. From the overlapping of lines in my old and new work, I have been able to create something that is more layered than what I usually aim to do. For the projection project, I had drawn out the shapes first with a pen, then filled them in with a colour, but with the exhibition work I had created my first layer of work from using paints. By doing the opposite of what I normally would have done, I feel this allows me to think more of the colours I want to use and how I want my work to be presented, instead of thinking about what I'm exactly drawing to start with. I like the unexpected approaches from these pieces. By starting with paints, it's hard to see how the work is going to look when finished due to the pen outlines possibly making shapes look darker and busier than others, including the 3 figures, which could look much more distorted than expected. I have done similar things before by experimenting with my techniques. For a few pieces I had completed, I decided to avoid moving my hand off the paper without looking at it when staring at pictures from fashion magazines. This allowed each figure to layer over each other with completely disfigured outcomes. This then brought me on to filling in the shapes that I had made, which changes the entire look of the work. Furthering my ideas for the future, I would like to question myself on what would be looked at as advertisement or fine art. I have an interest with collage and photography, and after looking into Cause, I believe I have followed a similar approach. Over my first year of studying at university, I feel I have expanded my work from outside a sketchbook, which I have found difficult to achieve in the past. I use the work from my sketchbooks to give me new ideas that I feel would work well on a larger scale. This has made me more confident with working in new environments due to the influences that I can find when thinking of ways to present a certain piece. After doing my first exhibition for this year's work, I feel I have more understanding on what to think about for the final show. This includes having a backup for when I don't get to show my work in the space I was hoping for. This goes back to thinking of new ways on presenting my pieces by possibly going against traditional ideas, avoiding the walls, or allowing the work to interact with the space on the day of planning. Printmaking has also been a big interest for me, and I would like to experiment with it more in the future by possibly using it through sculpture and graffiti. From this, I aim to take more advantage of the facilities that are on offer by exploring new machinery and equipment to create something new and surprising compared to much of my other work that I have been doing.